Once upon a time in a quiet little village, there lived a man named Samuel. He was an old carpenter who had spent his entire life creating furniture, building homes, and living day by day, doing what was expected of him. Samuel's hands were calloused, and his work was known throughout the village for its craftsmanship. For years, he had followed a steady path, a path that was safe and secure. But one evening, as Samuel sat on his porch, watching the sun sink below the horizon, something inside him stirred. He had worked hard all his life, but there was a realization that hit him hard that day. Samuel had never truly followed his passion. For as long as he could remember, Samuel had dreamed of being a painter. As a child, he had always loved the idea of creating beautiful works of art. His heart would beat faster every time he saw a painting, and he often imagined himself painting grand landscapes, vibrant portraits, and peaceful still lifes. But when Samuel was younger, his parents told him that painting wouldn't provide him with a stable life. "You must learn a trade," they had said. So Samuel had learned carpentry, a skill that had provided him with a steady income and a secure future. Years went by, and Samuel grew comfortable with his carpentry work. He became well respected in the village. His days were filled with the rhythmic sound of hammering nails and the smell of freshly cut wood. However, deep inside, there was always a longing to paint. Every time Samuel walked through the village, he would look at the world through an artist's eyes, seeing colors, shapes, and beauty that others often missed. He would picture himself with a paintbrush in hand, creating beautiful images of the world. But he never acted on those dreams. The fear of it being too late, of not being good enough, held him back. Then one day, while walking through the village square, Samuel noticed a young man sitting on the corner, sketching. The young man had an easel set up and was absorbed in his work. Samuel saw him there almost every day, and he couldn't help but admire his passion for art. One afternoon, Samuel decided to strike up a conversation. "Why don't you paint for a living?" Samuel asked, genuinely curious. The young man looked up, surprised by the question, then smiled. "It's all I've ever wanted to do," he said, "but my family doesn't understand. They think I should have a stable job, something practical. They say being an artist isn't a real career." Samuel nodded, understanding exactly how the young man felt. "I know what you mean," he said quietly. "When I was your age, I had a dream too, but I let fear and responsibility control my life. I chose a path that was safe, that promised security. But I always wondered, what if I had followed my passion?" James, the young man, looked at Samuel, puzzled. "But you're old. Isn't it too late for you now?" Samuel smiled softly, a knowing look in his eyes. "That's exactly what I thought too. I thought it was too late to start something new. But here's the thing, James. It's never too late to begin something you're passionate about. No matter how old you are, no matter how many years you've spent doing something else. I might be old, but I still have the time and the will to try, and so do you." James stared at Samuel, struck by his words. "But how do you start when you've never done it before?" he asked. Samuel took a deep breath and said, "You begin by taking one step at a time. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment. It's the little actions that add up. I spent so many years thinking that I was too old, too set in my ways. But now I realize that age is not a barrier. It's a privilege to have experience, to have learned lessons that I can now apply in a different way." The next morning, Samuel decided it was time. He walked into the local art shop and bought a set of paints and brushes. He set up an easel in his backyard, determined to begin. His hands, once steady with a hammer and saw, were now a little shakier with a paintbrush. But that didn't stop him. Every day for an hour or more, Samuel painted. The first few paintings weren't perfect. His strokes were rough, and the colors didn't blend the way he wanted. But he didn't mind. He was doing something he loved. As the weeks passed, Samuel's paintings began to improve. He found his rhythm, his brush strokes became smoother, and his colors more vibrant. He painted the world he saw, a beautiful world of sunsets, blooming flowers, and peaceful landscapes. His paintings weren't complex, but they were filled with emotion and beauty. Each canvas told a story of a man who had spent his life working with wood, but was now working with color to create something new. Soon, word spread around the village about the old man who had taken up painting late in life. People admired his courage. They saw that Samuel had the heart to follow his dream, even when he was past the age when most people would retire. Samuel's paintings began to sell, not for a fortune, but enough to show him that following his passion was more rewarding than he had ever imagined. What started as a small hobby had now turned into a fulfilling second career. One day, James came to Samuel's house to visit. His eyes widened as he looked at the walls, which were now filled with Samuel's vibrant paintings. "I can't believe you did all this in such a short time," James said, his voice full of awe. Samuel smiled and said, "You see, James, it's never too late to begin. I may be old, but I've learned that the best time to start is always now. It's not about being perfect or being the best. It's about doing what makes you happy, and in the process, you might just surprise yourself." Years went by, and Samuel continued to paint. His work was celebrated not just for its beauty, but for its message. It's never too late to pursue your dreams. Samuel's story became an inspiration to many. People from the village and beyond came to see the old man who had defied the odds and started something new later in life. They learned that no matter their age, it's always possible to follow your passion and live a life filled with purpose. Samuel's journey didn't just inspire James. It inspired everyone who heard his story. It was a reminder that the best time to start something is right now. Age is just a number, and it's never too late to begin pursuing the life you've always dreamed of. So whenever you feel like it's too late to chase your dreams, remember Samuel. It's never too late to start. Take that first step today and see where it leads you. And don't forget to subscribe. Join us next time for another inspiring story. Keep following your dreams no matter where you are in life. Keep moving forward, and remember, it's never too late to start.